What lecture are we on? 4, 5, 5? Is the recording in progress? I did not hear anything. Okay, it says it's recording. All right. All right, guys. I'm gonna get started. Today's lecture slash workshop is gonna be on browsers and Devtools. So my goal is to try to figure out as much as I can from a website using Devtools. And we're gonna try to target Rutgers's website, figure out what's going on and how it works. So what do you guys know about browsers? Yes, Adam?
They render HTML.
Yes. All right. So that's part of what a browser's job is. Um, a browser's job entirely is to allow you access to the web as securely as possible, and securely in quotes because there's a lot of ways to get out of it. Like any request or response that's coming into your computer can theoretically be middleman. Um, does anybody know what coding languages browsers run to interact with HTML?
CSS, right? And JavaScript?
Yes. So HTML is the template language, while CSS and JavaScript work to style and dynamically move part of the HTML around, right? So one of the things that you could do right off the bat when you get into your browser is you can click inspect, right? This pops up Chrome's DevTools. This is probably your best friend when it comes to reverse engineering or looking at how websites work. It has the current HTML. So this is the current HTML that's being rendered. Also the CSS for the HTML on the side right here. And you can actively change stuff about this HTML, like say, I don't like this element being this small. You can make it so it's 100%. You can make it so its width is let's say 1,000 pixels. That did not do it. Okay. That was not the correct one. Bear with me. You gotta find the right one. Okay. Well, all right. It doesn't want to work, but I can also delete it. Um, I can add any element that I want. So say like, okay, I want to edit as HTML. Say I wanted to add a div into here. You'll see that hello gets rendered just very smallly. So basically all of this is what's currently being rendered on the HTML, right? But okay, how does a browser know or get this information, right? That this is what it's supposed to render and how it's supposed to render, right? So let's take a look at the Rutgers page. All right, so a lot of Rutgers' page, you see like there's a video here, there's active movement on the screen when you move it. There's a lot of these divs, like a lot of these elements here that are not quite grid-like. A lot of movement, like for instance, this, that is very hard to do with just HTML and CSS. All right, so all of this at the start is just HTML, right? When you request to a website, the first thing it gives you back is an HTML HTTP request, right? And we can take a look at that by looking at the network tab. So when you request to a page, you get two things. You get a waterfall up here, and you get a recording of all the requests coming in and out of the browser. You can filter out what requests you want. So for instance, if you only want to see style sheets that are coming in, you can click on style sheets. If you only want to see the JavaScript coming in, you can click on JavaScript. I usually like to use all, because sometimes what happens when you click on the filter is that it doesn't filter quite properly. So the other way of looking at it is when I actually make a request, you'll see all of this requesting coming in, right? These will show you little icons of what is what, right? So you'll see here, it looks like a little HTML. This is like okay, there we go. This is like a little HTML icon. This is like this is a scripting icon. So this would be JavaScript. And you'll see that like by the extension that it's trying to send to. So this is a file called google.script.js. All right. And a lot of these are all the requests that the browser has made to render whatever this is, right? All right, so up here, you'll see something called a waterfall. What this is basically that I can go into specific times between the requests. So we can go here to looking at the first requests that were made. You'll see that these are all the first requests that were made. A bunch of these are just images. So you'll see that these are images. These are all the images coming into the file. And you'll see here that the first one that I sent was the Rutgers GET request. Right? So taking a look at what can I find in a request, right? So there's certain parts of the request, there's the headers. So this will show you all the headers of the request headers. So these are all the request headers that I sent out. All the response headers. And then you can get a quick overview of what this site looks like without any just rendered just HTML. So you'll see that this is a very much just a long list of stuff. Giant what's it called? Arrows. They take up all the screen. So these are most sites when you request it and you look at preview, you'll see this. It doesn't really tell you much, but it will give you a good idea of what the HTML looks like without anything on it, right? You can go to response, which usually gives you the raw output. So since this raw output was HTML, you get a nice styled HTML page with all like the tags and stuff, and everything else. Before I go more into this, you guys, everyone here knows what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are, right? A good idea? All right, so okay, cool. The second thing, this is very important for re-engineering how a website works and what is going on a website. Usually it's very hard to look at the iterators, but this is the chain of what is going on, right? So these are the requests that specifically this request initiated, right? So you'll see here that it asks for the default sites, it asks for fonts, it asks for sites, more CSS, so a bunch of this is CSS. Let's see it, API JavaScript share this. So I'm guessing that's like some kind of sharing links. a bunch of JPEGs. Those are a bunch of JPEGs. This is JavaScript. So these are all the requests that came off of that request, right? We can also take a look at timing. These are just like, okay, how long it took to actually process this request, the SSL, the DNS lookup, how long it stalled for. It it likes to stall for a lot of time, but again, these are just in milliseconds. So, the time it took to download the content. So this is very important for, say, if you're designing a website, you would be looking at the timing to see how long it takes for certain parts of the site to load on a browser, right?
It took the whole, the whole website took 4.5 seconds.
So yeah, that's just for let's see, where you looking? Oh, this? Yeah. So to load the entire site, that means all the requests until it stopped. Yeah, it took 4.5 seconds.
So,
Yeah. Well, that's because it's rendering all the videos, and actually, so the long blue things here, like, so you see these long blue things that span the entire thing. And we'll take a look at what request actually took 4.5 seconds. But that's all just downloading. So much of the time that it takes for requests to go through is just downloading the content it needs. Okay, so you can also click here for an explanation. It just takes you to a document page telling you what certain things do. So a lot of the dev tools, you'll see that it links you to the developer tools. So like different features on the dev tool post. So a lot of the stuff on the dev tools is just links to the documentation. I don't know why they did that, but much of it is. So all right, so let's take a look. You also get the cookies this is the cookies that were sent. All the information for different cookies. A lot of the time these we'll see that these are the requests sent, but you can also get response cookies and you'll see them on this page too, right? So we can also, if I move this out, we'll see, yeah, it took us 4.5 seconds to load, 0.4 seconds. The DOM content though, to load all the content took about 2 seconds or 1.5 seconds. It requested 33 megabytes of information. 37 megabytes of information, sorry, but only downloaded 31. And this is only looking at, oh, sorry, that was only looking at some of them. So it made 59 requests before it stopped making any requests. So the other part of this is that you see if I click around this this waterfall right here, you can get specific information about certain parts of the waterfall and certain requests within those times. So if I click here, you'll see that these 4 requests either started or are still going, right? So let's take a look at why this one kept going. So what is this request? It looks like a huge JPEG. Is that the one? Okay, yeah. Images are the worst orchestrators of this. They take a lot of time to download, and most of the images that you'll see on the site are very low pixels because of how long they take to download on sites. That explains a lot of why that happened. All right, so there's also other stuff, like for instance, over here, I can block certain requests. So while you're doing, for instance, if you're looking back on how a website works, you might want to add a request blocker. So that way, when you request to the site, if it tries to request to a certain part of the site, it actually blocks it. So you could see what happens if certain parts of the site are down or you don't get the things that you need. Issues, only third-party cookies, okay. This part of it is conditions. So I can actually change the condition of how fast my internet is. Right now it's on no throttling and usually it should be set to no throttling. But for instance, if I wanted to go down to slow or offline, I have one called slow AF. Just to stop the amount of requests going through to slow them down in order to see what part of the site is loaded in real time. This is specifically like if you want to see anti-bot measures will technically load in slower. So you can actually see which request is that API or is that JavaScript, so that way you can block it or you can do whatever you need to it. All right, so elements, this just shows you elements. This is what we saw before. You also have the console. So the console here is kind of like a terminal for the browser. So you can get certain attributes. You can actually run JavaScript right off of this. So I usually when I don't want to pull up like Node.js or something, I just like pull up Chrome and do inspect element and just use this terminal because you can technically run JavaScript off of this. Let's see. Let's do 1,000. And this will print 1,000 hellos, right? Preserve logs just preserves the logs in case you go to a different site. So a lot of the times sites will cascade it into other sites. When you click on it, the logs will clear. But if you click preserve logs, it will keep your logs to each site. Select context only is just this context. So you see that all of these errors vanish. They haven't vanished, but they're still there. This is just telling you that you'll also get like event logs in here. So if certain events don't go through or certain warnings, these will all pop up on this console. Treat code complete. Okay, so you can also see Coral's requests. Those are a little bit more advanced, but these are basically to prevent cross-site scripting. If you show these errors, you could see like what is being addressed to other domains and if they fail, right? So if the server rejects them because they're somehow being requested from that website. Let's see, elevation request. All right. So sources. Sources lets you open certain JavaScript. So if I go back to the network tab, and let's say that not this JavaScript. Let me get a JavaScript. Okay, so this that opens it up in there. All right, so on sources, if I press Control P, it lets me look at all the JavaScript that is currently running or has run. So let's take a look. What's a nice one to look at? Oh, also all the CSS. So all the files that have been downloaded. So let's see. That's the index. Styles. Let's see. Embedded. I don't know. None of these look none of them look suspicious or peculiar. Let's see what share this is. Right. All right. So yeah, it allows you to see the JavaScript as it is. Now, the other cool thing about this is that you can set up breakpoints and watches to watch certain expressions in the JavaScript. So next time you run it, for instance, it will actually pause at that breakpoint. So you'll see here that it says paused in debugger, and you can pause at this breakpoint. It gives you a nice scope of what's being assigned here. So like what this part of the code has access to. The call stack, what's in the call stack, and this is like regular debugging, right? All the requests. You could do you can pause at a get request or a pull request, post request. You could do DOM breakouts, which are just like breakouts on certain elements popping up. You can also add your own listeners. Or even set your own listeners. So yeah, these are all the, you can break out on when any event goes off. So any load event, any picture in picture event. So these are all the events that you can break out of. Okay, so there's a lot more to this. It is genuinely a very strong debugger for if you do want to debug code, but it is out of the scope. So the next tab I'm going to look at is performance. This is a better timing event. So the network timing just shows you the request, but this shows you the entire performance of the browser. If you click record, all right, let me unbreak out this thing. All right, so if you click record, it will actually create a profile for you. For the entire time, so you can do certain things, you can click around, do certain stuff. And then when you're done, you click stop, and it will generate a report about how everything that went on in the browser. So you'll see here, like, this gives you certain frames. So little pictures, what went on, was it parsing HTML? So like all of these tasks, what's being called, these are everything that's literally going on in the browser. Event logs, call trees, summary gives you a good summary about what's going on, right? So how much time it takes for stuff to load. All right. Memory. It's just looking at how much what's being called. So what variables are currently instantiated. And also it takes up what files. So it's taking a screenshot and showing you how much memory is currently being used. This is saying that it's going up, you'll see it go down, so that's the garbage collector coming in and destroying a bunch of stuff. It's very nice to watch, but yeah. So the other thing you'll see is that this is a JavaScript VM. So it is running the browser in a virtual machine sandbox kind of thing, where the JavaScript that's running in the browser cannot access your regular machine. And this is important for just like your safety, to make sure that no one can actually download or upload files without your permission. So application. The application tab literally shows you a bunch of different things that are being stored right now. So you'll see local storage, session storage. You have a index base and a SQL database. These are on most browsers. And they run like regular SQL or index. These are all the cookies that are currently on this web page. So these are all the cookies that were set by Rutgers. There's a lot in here actually. A lot of these are duplicates. They shouldn't be. All right. Yeah, so these are all the things that are set by Rutgers. There's caching, payment handlers, top. She's just giving you overview of the document. Yes. All right. So Lighthouse. This is something new. that Google added that it is a better analyzer than performance. You can actually set it to do set it to analyze different versions of the site. So it will also give you all of this information just by clicking analyze load page. I'm pretty sure this reloads the page. We can try it. But yeah, it does like a whole audit for the page. Let it load. Couple errors. Also gives you a little bit of tidbits. I have no idea why they added this, but it's there.
Does Chrome have like the best features with Devtools? Like, I'm sure like Firefox that.
Well, a lot of them are very similar. There isn't much coming in, so yeah, it gives you a good analysis. There has to be a reason that most people are transferring to Chromium. So I'm guessing it's just like a very, it's the go-to at this point. There isn't like, you could do everything that you want to do using the console, or setting up scripts to run automatically. You could do all of this through that. This is just, oh, we gave you the tools instead. Okay, so performance, it's telling us that like, okay, so my Chrome performance is bad. It's saying that, okay, my Chrome sections are the reason. So this is just like if you did, even if you didn't need to code, for some reason your Chrome is running bad on a certain web page, you can click this and it'll tell you what's going on and give you an idea of like, okay, why is it causing this performance dip? There is accessibility, which is just like is this page accessible to people who are blind or hard of hearing? So there's certain aspects that certain websites do to make sure that like, okay, can accessibility software read this page to someone? And this is what it does. Best practices to see if there's good practices going on. SEOs, this is like seeing how well the website is with Google's crawlers to see if it can actually scan the page and understand what's going on. And this is I have no idea what this is. I don't know what this is. All right. So last thing. Oh damn, we don't have, that was only like 20 minutes. All right. So this recorder is very fun. You can actually record what you're doing on the browser. So let's actually do this. All right, so I'm gonna go to google.com. Right. So google.com, I'm gonna start this recording. So it's recording right now. Start recording. Let's go to YouTube. All right, went to YouTube. We're gonna click the YouTube page. All right, now I don't want YouTube anymore. Let's go to Rutgers. All right. Let's say then I want to search something. Bob. I want to see this page. All right. So you'll see that this actually gave a recording of what's going on. I can stop the recording here and I can click replay. This will actually replay what I typed into the browser. And this is like actually taking control of the browser and doing it. So it's navigating right now, it full navigated. Oh, so sometimes it times out. because it wasn't able to complete its navigation. But yeah. Let's see, can I start from here? Let's try to restart. So the other thing is that this will actually let you output this as code. That way you can run a Puppeteer instance. Oh, it's gonna keep stopping. All right. You can actually download this as let's see. You can download this as a JSON, as a Puppeteer replay, as a Puppeteer analyst, include an analyst. So if you download it as Puppeteer, let's say you save it to going to Rutgers. This will actually save it in the documents. Did it just try to open it? Oh, that's not what I wanted. Open it in something nice. Okay. All right, it's just gonna open it in here. And this is JavaScript that if I wanted to, I could run right now, and it will do the exact same thing that it did in the browser. All right, so any questions, stuff you guys want to explore?
How long do you record for?
Uh,
I just go up to a random computer and I press record and come back later. Somebody randomly sees.
all right, let's figure that out. Let's figure that out. So I clicked record. Well,
There's no sign that you're like actually recording.
on
Okay,
here,
close that out.
if I close this, then yeah, I'll stop recording. Yeah. But yeah. Theoretically, I think it's just as long as you want. It will actually, so what it's doing is not actually recording exactly what you're doing, but giving a gauge of, are you clicking on something? Are you hovering over something? That's what it's actually recording and creating a block of code that's similar to what you are doing. Yeah. The network part?
Does that also track when you type? Track what you type?
Yes, it does track what you type. So if I click here, I click enter, it shows you key up, key down. It is tracking what you type. Shift key. Click open. Yeah. You said the network type, network thing? Okay. What in the network would you like to take a look at? I guess what makes you interested in the network tab? This part? So this is it's something called a waterfall. It's just showing you a graphical representation of when a request came through and when it ended, right? And it's putting all of those requests together on something that looks decently well, so you can understand, okay, this request happened like 2 seconds in. Yeah.
So I guess adding on to the network question, each of the different colors inside the waterfall represents like a different task from each request, right?
So yeah, if I zoom in here, So let me stop this one's recording. Restart it. I gotta clear it first. So yeah, each of these colors will represent. I used to be able to zoom into this. Give me a second. Yeah, so each of these will represent different types of requests. So you'll see here that if this is a style sheet or CSS, this is JavaScript. It's showing you actually the different times. So downloading is in blue. And if I go to the let's see. If I go to the timing, you'll see that this is the actual colors. So content downloading is blue, the waiting for servers in green. These are blue. So it splits each request into these colors.
So each individual request can do multiple different things. Like when we first looked at the www.rutgers.edu,
Mhm.
is that one singular like request?
Yes.
Okay, and then each request can do multiple different like requests based on that, like request upon request.
So yeah, so what happens is when you go to Rutgers's website, the HTML can trigger other requests down the line. So actually let me take a look at let us take a look at Rutgers is Rutgers.com. Oh, document failed. Well, why did it fail? All right, let's take a look at this 1 second. Sorry guys, Rutgers does not like me right now. Okay, there we go. All right, so if we take a look at this main HTML page, and this is still downloading stuff, you'll see stuff that's links. These links will also get downloaded. So if I go here and I look at these are image contents. This is the metadata though. Let's see. This link will also get downloaded. So if I go here, let me see if I can see the exact thing that we're looking at. So this is CSS Google. Babcom. All right, so this is the way that HTML requests other stuff in the from like creates other requests is when the browser is trying to render this HTML, it will go and see a link request and go to the source and then make another request to fulfill that source. And that's the page, the actual request that will fulfill that image, the image element. There's other stuff like, for instance, styles. So this is a link for a style sheet. This will download, and then that will be used as the styling for the HTML. So these are all the other requests that are coming in. So you'll see here that this is that request. If I go back here, so this ends with CSS underscore JXG. Well, this is the request being made to get that style sheet. All right. So there's more interesting stuff, like for instance, a lot of the CSS and HTML is just templating. You can render the HTML without it, like it doesn't actually affect the usability of the website. The JavaScript is what's going to actually affect what's going on the website. So when you click a button, that's JavaScript being initiated through an event. And let's see. This is literally how it's being downloaded. So you'll see that here you have a script tag. This is in the HTML and it's downloading to that share this JavaScript that we saw before. So this is the exact place in the HTML that it is implanted, so that way your browser goes and tries to get it. Let's see. What else do we want to go over?
Do you go to like a phishing website? Can you like extract any interesting information from it? Where you're going?
So okay, so I'm not gonna go to a phishing
It's
website.
actually dangerous to be one. Like, isn't it just they're rerouting whatever you type in? Is it dangerous to be on one?
On a phishing website? Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
So
There's
that
no download link that pops up.
even if there's no download link, it will be still sending information. Like actually, if we want to take a look at let's take a look at Nike's website. Yeah, Nikes.com. We'll see that like their actual website sends information about where your mouse is on screen. So I'll finish letting this download everything. Is it done yet? You done? Okay. Looks done. All right, so if I move my mouse around and I click, you'll see another request go through. This is a request success, and it's sending this sensor data to that endpoint. So all of this information is getting sent to this endpoint, which is on Nike's domain, but this is actually their way of doing bot protection. So making sure that like there actually is a mouse moving, and then clicking. This is that script.
I guess sometimes sometimes it'll like mark you as a bot for some reason. Maybe you're moving your mouse like too quickly.
That could be it, yeah. So the way they do this is through like an AI model that takes in all this data and then slowly figures out, okay, these are the bots and these are not, right? Uh a lot of like bots will try to mimic real sensor data, and that's why you'll see that in this stuff, Nike has like encrypted it to make sure that like all this information is being sent to them encryptically. That way it can't be mimicked from an outside source. But yeah, these are like the events that you could see. And this is like you get certain information about like, okay, where is it actually sending? So yeah, if you go to a phishing site, they can get your information out of it. They can get, if you click on it, even if you move your mouse, they can scan your computer and send information back. They don't even need you to click. It's just Nike that does this, that if you doesn't send it unless you click somewhere. But you can definitely make a website that it instantly just captures whatever your browser is and fingerprints it and sends it back.
Also, an interesting example. I don't know if they still do this, but eBay used to actually like port scan your computer.
Really?
Yeah. So it turns out, if you just register a domain that points to the local host IP, like 1.7.0.1, you can just port scan that domain, and it will be allowed by cores, but it'll be scanning like your own computer.
And they did this from inside the browser?
Yeah,
Oh, I guess that makes sense because you can request localhost. That's why.
I think it was for like, detecting if you had a virus installed, and if you did, it would like not use your computers, so it checked like the ports that we use for like stuff like Metasploit. And
Oh,
everything
okay.
like that.
All right, I
That's
guess
insane.
then everyone started using 4.4.3. So,
Yeah.
anything else you guys want to take a look at? Because we still have a lot of time.
So I tried, I think I mentioned before, when you download things from this, and it usually doesn't let me, just double click my file and it downloads and stuff like that. And sometimes there have been sites where the thing isn't actually encrypted, but it does some permission thing where it'll load when you're on the site, but if you double click the file, it'll say access denied or whatever. And so what I've tried doing before is, instead of accessing it from cache, I think, because I never figured out how to do that properly. If you right click on files there, it'll say like, download content as far or something, and, yeah, save all as far with content. And then inside of it, it's like, it's not an XML file, but it looks like one. If you open it in a text editor, it has a bunch of different things with all the requests, and part of the request is like a base64 to the packet data and stuff. And so I've tried reconstructing files from that, but I've never been able to do it properly. So I was curious if you knew anything about how that worked.
So what I would tell you is just make a request yourself.
Mhm.
And then it will send you back the actual file without having to do all of that.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can actually so this is another thing. You can copy as a Node.js fetch. You can also do a copy as PowerShell. And this will give you a way of requesting specifically this request through the PowerShell or through Node.js or whatever you want to do. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here. You can also copy all as var. Let's actually do this. So let's copy as Node.js fetch because I'm interested.
Yeah, one other thing, you can also copy as Perl, and there's a website that will let you like convert from Perl to any language.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense actually.
So there's something to use for it.
So yeah, so yeah, this Adam, this does right away. It gives you all the cookies and stuff. So if you make this request, this will probably get denied. But wait, what the fuck did I do? Yes. So this is all the information it sent back. We can take a look at that whenever some other time. But yeah, you can copy the request directly and it'll give you all the cookies and stuff. So you can make that request manually.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the site is just called perlconverter.com, so you can check that out.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh. That's cool. All right. I don't know why I commented out the cookies.
Commented out because the cookies are specified in a separate thing, so you don't need to put them there.
Oh, okay, I see. Oh, okay. Okay, I see. All right. Yeah, this is something you can do. And make your own manual request. So you can request a whole page manually if you really wanted to. Yeah. Anyone else have anything they want to explore? Let's take a look at. No? All right. Thank you guys for coming. I hope that you guys learned a little bit more about browsers and dev tools. Yeah. Thank you.